What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? Hello, 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 hello. Hello, and welcome, welcome, welcome. If you are joining me, welcome to the ClearTalk live. 100 subs. 100 subs on ClearTalk YouTube. I want to thank you very much. I am streaming now not only to ClearTalk, but I'm also streaming to TikTok. So those of you who are joining me on TikTok, this is specifically really for um, I'm talking about in celebrating 100 subs on my YouTube channel, Clear Talk. So if you want to check that out, go over there and check that out if you like. Um, and check out videos and whatnot to stuff over there. If you want to see if you like it, subscribe, like, share, all that good stuff over there. That would be amazing. And help continue to grow the channel. This is 100 subs, which I received yesterday. This is Saturday. I received it from Friday night. My 100th sub on the channel, which is amazing. I so that's what this is really about. I'm gonna do have a section for Q&A if anybody in the chats, whether you're on TikTok or whether you're on um, uh, YouTube, the Clear Talk YouTube channel. Either one, you can, if you're in chats, you can ask me questions, whatever. I'll try to answer, or we can have like subjects to talk about or something. If you want me to talk about something briefly, I also come up with a fun little thing to talk about. Subject to talk about around like these mysterious, interesting connections to past um literature and TV shows and whatnot that people have connected as partially predicting, or at least um, like being kind of a rhyme of the past happening right now uh, in our current situation, current country status or whatever things going on. I thought I'd have a little fun with that. So we'll go through. It's a book from like the late 1800s. We're going to talk about called The Last President, and then a couple of TV shows. One from the 1940s. The show is from the 1950s, a training video from the 1940s, and then also a little episode section from the Twilight Zone in the I want to say 80s or maybe 60s. I guess it was the 60s. Just having a little fun with making the connections, have a little fun with the connections that have been made. This is something that actually started back in like in 2016 and 17 and stuff under Trump's first administration term. People started making these connections on some of this stuff, and it's to come up even more now with the stuff that his administration has been doing. So I'm gonna have a little fun with it and kind of go over it. And I'm not gonna take a whole lot of time. Well, I mean, as much time as I need to, but I won't take a whole lot of time on it. But anyways, yeah, that's pretty cool. What I wanted to do, celebrate, have a little fun, because I was gonna create this as like um a segment that I was going to do either today or possibly Monday for the start of the week. But when I come up with the 100 sub thing yesterday, it kind of took over for me to decide to do it today. Um, Here. don't really have anybody on ClearTalk right now. Okay, so what I'm gonna do here, this is like again, recap. This is the 100 sub um live stream. 100 sub live stream for Clear Talk on YouTube. Thank you very much for joining me here. If you are, I would like to thank for first off, all of you who've who have subbed to the channel. This is right now streaming. I'm recording also to put up later, but I'm streaming currently to Clear Talk, streaming to TikTok. Because and the TikTok channel is like a encompassing JMD Nation whole channel thing, where I put stuff from Clear Talk YouTube, I put stuff from Play YouTube, from Puzzle YouTube. I don't do much from JMD because a lot of that stuff is copyrighted, and TikTok also does not like copyrighted stuff, so I don't do a whole lot there. But it is what it is. But I do put up a lot of stuff from the other channels on there. So if you're on TikTok, you'd like to check out my other videos and stuff on TikTok, please do so. Go to my, channel thing or whatever, their profile, whatever, and you can find lots of videos that I've shared from the YouTube channels over there. But for Clear Talk, thank you very much. For your subs. It is amazing to have reached 100. I remember when I hit 100 on my JMD channel, which was like years and years ago. And that was but I didn't put a whole lot of I wasn't able to put a whole lot of time into it even then. So it took a long time for me to grow that, and then grow even to where it is now, which is almost at 900 subs there. Aiming for 1,000 on that channel. That's my new, that's my goal for that channel at the moment. But my goal for here was to get to 100. I guess our next goal would be like 500 maybe, which I don't know how long that would take. Might take a while, but it'd be great to reach that. But yeah, I just wanted to thank y'all very much. Appreciation here for listening to me, checking out my videos, finding me interesting enough to subscribe, even if it was just to see what I do next or will say next, or if you wanted to check it out for a little while or whatever. Either way, it's or if you truly enjoy listening to me and listening to my point of view or the topics that I'm talking about on the channel, that's amazing. And I want to continue. When I quit my job that I voluntarily left my job, and from there I decided to full time go on with these channels and see where I could go with them, because I never had the chance, after working there for 22 years, never had the chance to really go full time, be able to see what I could do with channel. So it was a good opportunity for me, and I have had some bumps a little along the way, admittedly, on all the channels, but I'm starting to get continuously, and so for Clear Talk, it's at least 3 or 4 days a week. I'm putting out 2 to 3 videos a day, based in different stuff going on around the world, whether it's domestic politics or foreign politics or whatever, stuff like that. I've also have a series for a religious series going on too, if you're interested in that. The channel's really for anything that you wanted for me to talk about or give my opinion about, or just want to know something about, or whatever. Like, it's not necessarily politics and religion or whatever. It's just, but that's the main 2 things that I talk about over there most of the time. But we could talk about anything, and that's kind of the idea. To join up, to let me know, give me ideas of what you want to talk about. You can even go further with that in Patreon if you want to, go to Patreon and join there. And that's one other thing that I'm going to go over. Me and my girlfriend is trying to help me create a merch um, collection stuff on her website. She does this for she like makes shirts and different stuff like that, customized stuff. That's what she does. That's what her little business is. And so we are in the middle of like creating a collection page on there for shirts and like mugs and uh, whatever, all kinds of different products and stuff that you possibly might want one of my channel logos or something on or whatever, um, to help support. And yeah, that would be when I completely get done with that. I will have a video, probably put it up on all the channels to kind of let you know how to find it, uh, and I'll probably have exclusive stuff on Patreon for that. I'm thinking about like even adding to adding to the like the subscription for Patreon, for that you get a free shirt or whatever, with when you join. That way it gives you a little bit more of an incentive to even join or whatever, and check it out for a little while. You get a free, get a shirt. That's something that we were looking at. So look forward to that in the near future, because we probably should have that, I think, figured out and situated, hopefully within the next week or so. But yeah, and give me just one moment. I apologize. I had a late start getting on this stream. I had complications trying to get stuff connected properly with the program. Because I had stuff set up where I stream to play, because I stream to play more than I do anything. Uh, like Fortnite, stuff like that. And I was trying to do like just a custom stream for ClearTalk, and it wasn't wanting to accept the custom, like, stream key and the stuff. For some reason, it just wasn't wanting to do the dual setup. It would do like a regular one that's like a single stream design, but it wouldn't do the dual for some reason. So I wound up having to unlink play and then relink it for ClearTalk, and then it worked anyway. So that was why I was kind of late getting on, because I had set it up for 4:30 and it was more like 4:40 before I really got going. So I apologize for that. But where was I? So yeah, we're setting up the clothing thing there, or apparel and merch and stuff on there, and I'll release that whenever that is available. So yeah, if and then let's see here, what else we. Oh, but yeah, thank you very much again. If you are liking the channel, I thank you so much for subscribing. If you haven't checked out the other channels, consider those as well. Look at Dream Drummer. I do drum covers over there, music reactions and stuff like that to songs and stuff. It's if you like that stuff, subscribe over there, help out, check out the stuff I've reacted to, mostly rock and metal and stuff. But and then of course my covers. I have a drum kit back here, if you didn't know. Um, and I'm going to start even over there doing some live stuff as well with JMD, where I'm going to do like live, um, like playthroughs, practices, and stuff of the songs that I'm working on. I might do that like once or twice a week. Go live for like 30 minutes or an hour or something, and and just play through some songs. Show you where I'm, so you can see like how I practice. See, where I'm sitting on the song as far as how will I, have it down or whatever. How prepared I am to do whatever. I'm looking forward to doing that. So that's some added stuff there. Um, JMD Play, I do games, mostly Fortnite, admittedly, but I also do have several, quite a few. I did a series on Tears of the Kingdom when it came out on Switch a couple of years back. Whenever it come out, I did a series on that, playing through it completely. Um, I'm currently doing Mario Kart World on the Switch 2, playing through all those courses. I went through all the like regular cups, and now I'm going through the knockout tour rallies and stuff. So if you're interested in that, check that out. I'm also I had started Mass Effect. I've got like 2 episodes of that. I need to get back to it because it's been like 2 weeks or so since I've done that. Uh, and I've got other games planned eventually to get into, but I don't want to have like too many games going at one time because it might get confusing and hard to put out stuff. Um, but yeah, if you're interested in any of that, and like I said, I do live streams over there of Fortnite, so you can check that out anytime. Subscribe so that you get notifications of those live streams and videos and for there. And then puzzling, that one is a little bit more spaced out. I do jigsaw puzzles and stuff over there. I've got a number of videos from all my past puzzles. I just finished my 16th puzzle a couple weeks ago. Um, and preparing to start the 17th one this coming week. So look for that if you're interested. There's videos like detailed videos of the previous six, like showing the actual like time loop and or uh, period to period reveal of the puzzle as I made it, as I was doing it. And then the first 10, I have like just like videos where I'm talking about how and why I chose that um, puzzle and what's unique about it and stuff like that. I have different types of videos on all that stuff. So if you want to check out, if you're interested in like puzzles or anything like that, or think you might be interested, you can check that out. And yeah, that's cool. I it's more like it's very more sparse or whatever sparse. I don't do a whole lot of videos on there. It's every couple of weeks or something like that. So you don't get a whole lot of content on puzzling. I don't really expect that channel to ever just like crazy grow or anything. But it's just a hobby and something that I just do for fun. So, but it would be nice to have people subscribe, and that, that'd be cool. Um, but anyway, so yeah, that's all for all the channels. That's the JMD Nation. Um, here, oh, that's um hard for y'all on TikTok to see. Let me get that shrunk down. Hold on. Whoops. Here we go. Getting there. Dookie. Boom. Yeah. Um, the rest of the stuff. Yeah. Mm, oh. Mm, okay. Well, for Patreon, I'd have to. I'm sorry. On TikTok, I'd have to do a little bit more work on that page. I haven't got that page situated for TikTok. I apologize. But it's basically the picture showing all my links and stuff like that. For all the channels. Anyways, all right. Apologize. So if you like any of it, check them out. And then, um, but again, just thank you very much for all that you do, and it's awesome. Okay, so on to, and if you are, if you're returning, if this is something you want, if you're someone who returns all the time, you're here, every video, or every, whatever. If you've even looked at more than one video, thank you very much. You're freaking amazing. And yeah, so you're awesome. Keep coming back, because you are what makes James Nation. All right, so as I said, we're going to look over some stuff. So what happened on? I was looking up. I had a video come up over my phone that was talking about this book series from the late 1800s. Sorry, the late 1800s, by an author, Ingersoll Lockwood, or Ingersoll Lockwood, something like that. It was a 3-book series. You may have heard of this before, but it was a 3-book series, and the first 2 books were like a kind of more kid-ish kind of books, where or were about a kid and his dog, and them doing these like going on these extravagant adventures through these portals or whatever in time, something like that. And it just coincidentally that the boy's name was Baron Trump, Baron with one R. And so and if that wasn't interesting enough, there is a character in the 2 books where the person that's guiding Baron through these realms of whatever with that he's going through and exploring. His name is Don Fum, F-U-M, Don Fum. So people have had fun with that. That it's very interesting that there was this kid was written about, Baron Trump, which is very closely like Baron Trump, Trump's youngest son, and of course the guide being named Don, so short for Donald. People have a lot of fun with that. It's cool. It's interesting. Not any kind of like foreshadowing of anything really, or whatever. It's just fun to play with, and the idea of it. But what people are the most interested in this series, and those are the first 2 books, is the 3rd book in the series, which absolutely has nothing to do really with the first 2 books at all. And it's called 1900, or The Last President. And this is I find it fun. I find it's an interesting book. I have not read the book, admittedly. I do plan on getting the book to read it, but I have looked over several different sources and stuff about what the book entails, characters, whatever. That's what the video that come across my phone was about, was this book. I mean, he talked about the first 2 as well for fun, but then he was like, but this is the most interesting thing. And he started talking about the 1900, the last president, and started talking about these different aspects that were in the book. And that got me searching, got me looking, because I'm not one that just immediately accepts what I'm hearing or seeing or whatever. I tend to question, at least to some degree, and search, look, make sure, verify, basically, which I try to tell everybody to do. Anything you come across on the internet, you must verify it. You just really should. I mean, if it's something that's just meant to be funny and it's like, and satirical, and not to be taken seriously, yeah, okay, I get, not worrying about trying to make sure it's correct or whatever. But if it in any way is meant to be taken seriously, it's meant to be as like fact or whatever, most certainly you need to like try to research and verify bullshit, and you got to kind of find that nuance, find verify that or whatever, in anybody. Um, so yeah, that's what I did here, and I started looking it up, and this book. Let me pop over here. This is the book in question. Well, this is one version of it. This is the paperback version. There's also a hard book version. That is not the look of it. I don't know where the hard book is. Oh well, shoot, it's all messed up now. Anyway, but it's basically a book about this. It's based in the late 1800s during the Gilded Age. And the one quick thing about the author didn't necessarily, from what I could understand and read, he didn't necessarily have any kind of like political. He wasn't like hugely political, but he didn't necessarily didn't wasn't considered either like far right or far left, anything like that. If anything, he was more of just like I think it was stated like a moderate institutionalist conservative. So kind of a moderate, middle of the line person, relatively, and but he was understood the importance of institutions, the governmental institutions, and them having proper or how they can assist with them being able to assist and not being restricted or whatever, being able to assist where they could, basically for citizens. To some degree, to the degree it was then, but the Gilded Age, he was apparently very interested and concerned about issues that were going on in the Gilded Age, which if we've done a video on that before, where you had a very a coalescing of wealth amongst just a few families in the nation that controlled and owned almost everything, and that's the period of time where you basically had one of the largest, if not the largest, wealth gap in the nation between the rich and the poor, or the whatever, working class and elites, which we are very close to being back at now. And like we talked about before, that was the period of time where the elites, rich and whatnot, they tried to deem and coin that period as the golden age. That was something that I brought up in the video. I previously talked about that because when Trump was going through talking about it, he was going to make this the golden age. I was like, we need to be concerned because this was trying to be coined before, and it ultimately became the Gilded Age. And so that was, my concern is that this is going to wind up being Gilded Age 2.0, what we are living through now. And where you just had a continued like collaboration, consolidation of wealth in, a few elites, and owning and controlling everything, having, control of the government, policies and everything that will benefit them, and the gaps continue to between working families and the CEOs types, continuously drifting apart like we see now. That was the Gilded Age, and that ultimately ushered in the end of that ultimately happened because we started ushering in, I think it pretty much first started with Theodore Roosevelt ushering in more progressive left-leaning like policies, more like democratic socialist type policies. I don't would know that Theodore Roosevelt himself would necessarily consider himself that, but it ultimately led in a series of presidents who started to move in a more progressive, more democratic socialist way up through FDR. So it was like roughly 30 years or so or more, 30 to 40 years of the Gilded Age. And it took roughly around 30 to 40 years of a literal policy shift to change that, system, change that scenario, that changed that period to where the working class was lifted back up, people were at work making more money, and the wage gap shrunk. And that ultimately, was where when we had FDR at the towards the more peak of that time, and FDR put in the New Deal. He was president for 4 terms. Made a huge thing where the Republicans were very much worried at that point that they would never win again if they didn't do something about that. So they put in term limits, which now they're trying to undo. And this book, his concerns with that period was the elites continuously getting their wealth and getting more power, and the unrest that was happening in the time that ultimately started causing riots, started causing your my goodness, my mind just went blank. The words like right there on the tip of my tongue. Marches and stuff, whatever. People were unhappy, and the book is centered on New York City and the presidency. So there was basically the book starts out with like this, there was an unrest in New York City, and people were angry and frustrated, and there was a sudden rise of a president out of nowhere, who was talking about like government corruption, taking down basically the wealthy and the elites, eliminating institutions, and trying to uplift the poor and the working class. Like it was that's the reason why people kind of automatically connect that to when Trump came into office, or when he was starting his, in his election cycle in 2015 and 16, that he was the same type of rhetoric. He was talking about, draining the swamp and all that kind of stuff. And that's the connection that they make there. And then when this person in the book becomes president, he winds up winning presidency, surprises everybody, even the elites. The elites are scared, worried that that he's going to ruin them, ruin what they've got going on. And then it like lights a fire under the citizens, and they become even more uprisen and pushing back and fighting back against the elites. And so it creates this even bigger divide, and it ultimately wound up causing the president to put forth policies and stuff to gain more control, more ability to get control, and to handle all the chaos and riots and unrest or whatever. So he had to consolidate power, and ultimately that created an even bigger rift and whatever. So it was very much the concern for him that this was going to happen. That, and the book even doesn't even really conclude it. It just sort of, this could be the complete destruction of democracy and the end of our nation if something like this was to happen. um, where the fear of the wealthy and somebody coming into power that would help to consolidate power and wealth, and uh, and ultimately bring about an authoritarian like um, system in the country, and that's when everything would just go to hell and break loose. Like people would lose their shit over it. Um, and it's a very interesting book. And people have pointed to very parallels to what's going on now. They drew parallels to it in the first administration. Now in the second one, it's even more crazy. Seeing what Trump and his administration have been doing with consolidating power, trying to completely ruin the judicial system, the legislature system, basically making them unnecessary, or rather powerless. Let's put it that way. And trying to consolidate power, starting to use or at least rhetorically saying he was going to use the military for means that he deems fit. Like going into our cities and whatnot, all that kind of stuff. I mean, the parallels there are because when a leader gets desperate, when they are trying to do moves, even if their intention was to root out corruption, let's just say that, but then unrest creates this dynamic where there's this pressure to keep the nation under control. And you get desperate and go to extreme measures to do so. That's the fear of what could potentially happen, bringing about authoritarianism and stuff. So that's that's where the book kind of lays, and I think it's very interesting. So, like I said, I'm going to get the book myself and read it. If you are interested in it, you can do that as well. Right here, like I said, that's just 900 or The Last President. Get it pretty decent price on Amazon. There is an actual hard copy I come across before this. I don't know where it is, or you can get the whole collection of the Barron Trump collection, which includes this book as the third book. But yeah, that it's really cool. I thought that was cool. Still not really having any. If y'all, like I said, if y'all want to, ask questions or whatever, feel free to do so. That'd be awesome. The one other thing I wanted to show you, I found interesting, and it is there's this video that was produced back in the 1940s after World War II by the United States Army Signal Corps, and it was basically created as a propaganda training video. You could argue, but it was about explaining or trying to teach, mostly for the as a military, like I said, a military training for troops and whatnot. But also, it was released for trying to make sure that the lead of fascism, the rise of fascism, wouldn't happen again. Like learning from the rise of fascism in Germany that's created World War II, to be aware of that so that it didn't happen here in the United States. And it was a very much anti-prejudice kind of you would argue that the current like Republican MAGA whatever would deem this as certainly woke, okay, for our military. And to think that this video was done in the release date was 1945. It's a 23-minute video that this was done then. And understand when I'm going to play the video and understand that what you hear in this video, what was being talked about, what was being warned against, was in the 1940s, and yet you will listen to it and be like, our nation was woke back in 1940s. How far it has come now, 2025, and how far right the nation, or at least politics of the nation, has moved. I would argue that people have not moved right. I would argue that the politics, regardless of whether or not you're talking about the Republican Party or the Democratic Party, both parties have Overton window moved to the right. And that's the reason why it kind of gives this appearance that the nation has moved right. But I think that's also the reason why it looks like the nation as like citizens and individuals, when you actually ask them about situations, polling and stuff on different questions and how they feel about certain policies, most of the time they actually vote and poll more on the left than they do, and like as the whole nation as a nation as a whole polls more left, center to left, than they do center or right. And I think that's just because the nation is more centered and our political parties have moved right, which makes it look like there's been an increase in people moving to the left when it's not really. People, I don't think, have changed much at all. There has been, there are factions of both sides that have coalesced and like gained influence or have been emboldened, I guess you could say, but they are small. I'm just talking about the overall population, I think, has stayed relatively centered in the international thought of politics, not the United States party thought of politics. So that it's kind of like this illusion, I think, that's happened over the past 50, 60 years. But anyway, so yeah, I have the video here, and I want to, nope, not that one. Where is the full video? I had found the full video before. Here, is it this one? Nope. Is it this one? Nope. It's like 20 minutes long. Well, maybe this is it, I guess. We can just watch it. Don't be a sucker. I said, remember, this was used as a training video for our military members.
Well, it is a fake.
And was also, I think, partially released to the public.
Here's a fella who's willing to bet his hard-earned money on it. Henry here got on the train with $200. He couldn't see any harm in a friendly game of cards. What if the other men were strangers? And take Joe Collins. He's got a nice wife at home. But he met this girl at the bar, and she looked kinda cute after the first couple of drinks.
And understand, this is made in the time, 1940. So issues of that time come up in here around race, religion, other stuff. So
There's a good old-fashioned word for people like this. We call them suckers. And there are other people. People who stay up nights figuring out how to take away what they've got. There are all kinds of games and all kinds of suckers. Take Mike here, for instance. He's got everything, you might say. He's young, he's healthy, he's got a job. And he's got a country called America. It's a wonderful thing to have. America. Lots of room. Room enough to raise plenty of food. Big factories to make things a man can use. Big cities to do the business of a big country. And people. Lots of people. Enough to work the farm and build the factories, dig the mines, and run the business. All kinds of people. People from different countries with different religions, different colored skins. Free people. They can live together and work together and build America together because they're free. Free to vote, to say what they please, go to their own churches, to pick their own jobs. Yeah, Mike's got something, all right. He's got America. But there are guys who stay up.
now I do understand and realize that the right to vote, well, at this point, I suppose most were able to vote. Yeah. But of course, we still had segregation. There still were, later Jim Crow laws and stuff put in place. Or maybe even at this time there were some. But yeah, I mean, we know the racial issues and other stuff around it. But like I said, maintain that this is 1940s, but there's a bigger message.
Nights figuring out how to take that away from him.
I want to give you the truth, folks. The truth about America. I know you've got
Here's
a
the
lot of
main
questions.
section that people
You want to know why you're not getting the breaks you deserve?
highlight.
I'm not a politician, but I've made it my business to study these things, and I happen to know the facts. Now, friends, I'm just an average American. But I'm an American.
American.
And some of the things I see in this country of ours make my blood boil. I see people with foreign accents making all the money.
Foreign accents making
I
all the
see
money.
Negroes holding jobs that belong to me and you.
Hmm.
Now I ask you, if we allow this thing to go on, what's going to become of us real Americans?
I've heard this kind of talk before, but I never expected to hear it in America.
This fellow seems to know what he's talking about.
Yes, he knows all right.
What's the answer? What are we real Americans going to do about it? You'll find it right here in this little pamphlet. The truth about Negroes and foreigners. The truth about the Catholic Church. Now, friends, these books are free. Paid for by real Americans who want others
Real
to know
Americans.
Excuse me, young man, but are you actually going to read that stuff?
Sure, why not? You heard what he said, didn't you?
Yes, I heard. But do you believe in that kind of talk?
I don't know, makes pretty good sense to me.
I'm speaking to you as an American. And I tell you, friends, we'll never be able to call this country our own until it's a country without. Without what? Yeah, without what? Without Negroes. Without alien foreigners. Without Catholics. Without Freemasons. You know these people...
What's wrong with the Masons? I'm a Mason. Hey, that fella's talking about me.
And that makes a difference, doesn't it?
These
That makes a difference, doesn't it? This is us being affected by a politician or policies or whatever that being trying to implement or rounded up or shipped out or banned on something or systematically suppressed to not being able to gain any kind of wealth or any type of life like any kind of wealth or money or living that can be passed down to generational wealth. That's what I was going for. You know what I mean. You know what I mean. Like, don't worry about it until suddenly you hear, "Whoa, wait a minute, he's talking about me." Now, wait, how am I a problem? It's oftentimes not until, and this was being talked about and discussed. Remember, in 1940s. This was a video from 1940s. I can't. 80 years ago. 80 years ago.
These are your enemies. These are the people who are trying to take over our country. Now you know them. You know what they stand for. And it's up to you and me to fight them. Fight them and destroy them before they destroy us. Thank you.
Before he said Masons, in this country, we have no other people. We are American people, all of us.
What about you? You aren't American, are you?
I was born in Hungary, but now I am an American citizen. And I have seen what this kind of talk can do. I saw it in Berlin.
What were you doing there?
I thought Nazis were crazy people, stupid fanatics. But unfortunately, it was not so. You see, they knew that they were not strong enough to conquer a unified country. So they weapon to cripple the nation. We human beings are not born with prejudices.
We're not born with prejudices.
They are made for us.
You see that. You see the memes, of the kids, the black kid, white kid, whatever. Hugging, laughing, showing love and kindness, compassionate to each other. We're not born with these. We're not born with prejudices. We're not born with racism. We are taught and learned those things. We are made to think and believe those things. So, man, it's so big.
Made by someone who wants something. Remember that when you hear this kind of talk. Somebody is going to get something out of it. And it isn't going to be you. This is not classroom theory. I saw it happen. I saw it first in Berlin in 1932. 5 young men that I knew were standing in the crowd listening to the Nazi speaker. Eric was a Catholic. Anton, a student of mine, was a Jew. Heinrich owned a small hardware store. Karl was a farmer. And Hans was an unemployed metal worker.
To all true Aryan Germans, I say it is time you inherited the nation which rightfully belongs to you. To you alone belongs the glorious destiny of the greater Germany. The Nazi Party will provide land for the farmer, work for the worker, and profits for the small businessman. Who is getting these things now? The Jew. The Jew who has stolen our nation and our birthright. Who makes all the money and takes all our jobs? The Jew! He must be shunned. He must be ostracized. He must be eliminated. And the Catholics.
And what today in America is being shunned right now? Foreigners, immigrants. We must get rid of them. We must shun them. We must kick them out. We must round them up because they're taking all of our jobs.
We don't want our great nation run by a foreign church. We Germans will know what to do with these people when the time comes. They and their faith must be destroyed. Then there are the Freemasons. In Germany, we have no place for secret societies. There will be only one society, and that is the Nazi Party. There will be no secrecy about that in the new Greater Germany.
One by one, he attacked each minority and he split them off one from the other. These men were all fellow Germans when they came here today. Now they were split into rival groups, suspicious of each other, hating each other. They were being swindled, all of them. But the man who was really being, to him they promised everything.
Will share the glorious destiny of our fatherland. You are the pure-blooded, the master race. It is your divine right to rule, and the Nazi party stands ready to put you into power. It is for you to command all Germany, and someday the entire world.
That's how Hans became a Superman. They gave him a uniform and they pumped up his ego. He wasn't just a little fellow out of work anymore.
And what are they doing now here in America? What is similar to this? Pumping up the real American, kind of similar to what the guy previously was talking about. The real Americans. The ones who are non-immigrants, the ones who, you know, are strong to the party in power, you know, to a particular party and a particular person, and that they are the real Americans. Anybody opposed to them are idiots, or they hate America, or you know, I mean, the type of people who are taking up the badge of ICE right now and going around all willy-nilly ripping people off the streets and beating people and you know above the law, apparently. That, yeah, emboldened people who think that they are more American, more patriotic.
He was a member of the master race. His wife couldn't quite understand. Even though he was a Superman, there wasn't any food in the house. Stupid woman.
Interesting.
Did she realize that the Nazis were going to make jobs for everybody?
Interesting. Interesting thought, huh? How these people also in the nation who think they are so emboldened are also ones who are little, you know, being affected, having a hard time, working job to job, paycheck to paycheck, you know, working multiple long hours, you know, struggling to get food on the table.
There would be plenty of food and clothing and a new house. Everything they wanted. The glorious future of Germany was to be theirs. And their children would someday rule the world. But his wife, silly woman, still wondered where the next meal was coming from. Hans didn't like that kind of talk. It was dangerous. For that kind of talk, people should be put in jail.
Thank you for joining.
Hans had swallowed the bait all right. And these were the men who baited the hook. Why? So that Hans could come to power? Of course not. So they could come to power. They would merely use Hans to help them get there. He would do the dirty work for them. Hans and thousands of others like him, all playing a sucker's game. They gambled with other people's liberty, and of course they lost their own. A nation of suckers. Hitler needed these people. There was lots of work to be done. There were trade unions to be smashed, because unions were organized and might offer resistance. There were many
the
political
Republicans
parties
always
in
try to do?
Germany. These the Nazis destroyed. They were
What are they
determined
also
to
trying
smash
to do?
every organization where people...
Trying to make the Democratic Party look like they are haters of America. Trying to eliminate them. You know, just vote. You know, just vote me, and you'll never have to worry about voting again. Or let's vote for this bill and or this measure, and we won't have to worry about voting ever again. We won't have to worry about Democrats ever winning again, because we'll do everything perfectly and everybody will love us so much and they will never want to vote in Democrats again, or whatever, you know, or anybody who is not Republican. That doesn't necessarily even have to be a Democrat, just anybody who's not Republican.
might band together and resist them. There were Jews to be beaten and killed. The Jews were not powerful, but they were a convenient excuse for all the nation's ills. And besides, a Nazi party member could not take over this man's store. Hundreds of Catholics were put in jail because the Catholic Church had strength and could resist the Nazi drive for power.
We've even seen the administration go after religious figures. that oppose him. There was a pastor a month or so ago, or whatever, that was attacked by ICE because he was resisting or pushing back against them. I mean, they don't care. They don't care.
They had split the nation into 100 pieces, and then one by one, they had destroyed the pieces. Over these broken pieces, the Nazis rode into power. One party, one nation, one religion.
Hey, doesn't that sound familiar too? The Christian nationalism, strength and influence in MAGA. They want them to be, one nation, one religion, one party. The only one that matters. Everybody else is not American, not real Americans anyways. They hate America. We need to get them out of here. We need to break apart the Civil War talk.
These men had won their struggle for power. They now ruled all of Germany. But still they had trouble with their oldest and most persistent enemy, the truth. They found that truth does not die easily. And so they decided to abolish truth. One great source of truth is literature. So they burned books. 20 million of them. Many great men in Germany who were spokesmen for truth were jailed or driven from their country. Teachers, writers, scientists. Education was discouraged. In 5 years, college attendance.
What have they been doing? The Republicans have been trying to, eliminate books here and there all over the place. The administration's been attacking teachers, colleges, scientists, scientific community, doing away with research. I mean, or defunding research. Like what? Hello? Trying to remove the Department of Education, trying to, not even just not feed our kids. Trying to push back against policies that feed children in school. I mean, just the simplest little thing like that.
Attendance dropped 53%. It was forbidden to listen to a British radio program or read an American newspaper. In Nazi Germany,
what's he constantly doing? Fake news. These news reporters, these journalists, they don't know what they're talking about. They're liars. You shouldn't read them. You shouldn't listen to them. They don't know what they're talking about. I am the only one with truth.
Germany, you had to get your information from Dr. Goebbels.
Hey.
He knew what was best for you.
Which is our now Stephen, what's his name? Stephen, fuck. You know what I'm talking about.
You couldn't see this movie or listen to this music. And you couldn't watch Joe Louis fight because the champion had black skin. He disproved Hitler's theory of Nordic supremacy. Albert Einstein, one of the world's great scientists, disproved that theory too. He was non-alien, so he had to leave Germany. His mind was dedicated to the search for truth, and the Nazis, having sold a lie, were most afraid of truth. The church was one force in Germany still strong enough to proclaim the truth in public.
No doubt is possible that we Christians are in a grave battle. Against us stands a faith out of blood. The battle signals range from cool repudiation to hate-filled causes. Weapons are used that centuries have dulled. The aim of this battle is to dislodge Christianity from our fatherland.
This Catholic priest was arrested the following day on charges of immorality. The Protestant church also continued to try and fight for truth.
He who desires liberty for himself cannot deny it to others, lest he lose what he has gained. This is the great lesson the world can learn from Germany.
The Nazis put this man in a concentration camp. There were others who spoke for truth, and I am proud to say that educators were among them.
And what, may I ask, is an Aryan? I don't know myself. But let us see what our present so-called authorities have to say about it. They say he is tall, slender, blue-eyed, and blonde. There is no Aryan race. And more important, there is no master race. There are people who may find these ideas convenient, but science cannot support them. There is no scientific proof that there's any correlation between a man's racial characteristics and his native ability or character. In all racial groups, we find the same range of potentialities. We find idiots and geniuses. We find criminals and philanthropists. We must judge each man as an individual and not by the color of his skin or his eyes or by the length of his nose. Come in, gentlemen. Make yourselves comfortable. There are many differences between individuals. We each have different capabilities, different backgrounds, different views about what's right and what's wrong. Like the difference between me and these gentlemen who have just arrived. But that is not the difference in race. It is a difference in the way we think.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that. And remember that there is no master race. That is a scientific truth. Anyone who tells you otherwise is lying.
And so for all practical purposes, truth had been abolished in Germany. A lot of my German friends wondered what had hit them. How did it happen? Where did it start? It started right here. And this was where it could have been stopped. If those people had stood together, if they had protected each other, they could have be split apart, gambling with other people's freedom.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's see how those bets paid off. Karl the farmer was gambling on a better life for himself. What he got was extra hours of back-breaking work, as much as 100 hours a week. He was forced to stay on his land and produce what he was told to produce, because now Hitler was preparing for war. For Heinrich, who owned a hardware store, the bet didn't pay off either. 104,000 small businesses were closed in 2 years. And for Hans, conditions hadn't improved any. He had a job now in the munitions factory, but he worked long hours for little pay.
20% increase in work hours.
Grew increasingly bad.
Death in workers increasing.
Even though he didn't like the job, he wasn't
strictly
permitted
forbidden
to leave
one's job.
There still wasn't enough food in his house. Hitler said you couldn't have butter and cannon. So Hans couldn't have butter. And when Hitler decided the time was right, Germany went to war. Not by declaring war, but by a carefully prepared sneak attack. Once again, Hitler needed Hans to do his dirty work.
Doing it.
Hans was an expert at brutality by this
without
time.
Asking, without declaring.
And Hitler had decided to use Hans and his brutality against other peoples, the Czechs, the Poles, the French, the Russians. But in the crucial test of war, Hitler's race theories didn't pay off. His pure-blooded supermen were defeated by the mongrel armies he despised. By the British at El Alamein. By the Russians at Stalingrad. And then on D-Day by American soldiers of every color and religion who smashed across the Normandy beaches and drove on through to the heart of Germany. For the misguided Germans who had swallowed the Nazi bait, the Nazi game did not pay off. The continent of Europe was strewn with millions of German bodies, pure Aryan bodies. Karl, the farmer, was left in the snow outside of Moscow. Heinrich stayed in Italy at Salerno. And Hans, who was going to rule the world, got only a little patch of Normandy that he could call his own.
We must never let that happen to us or to our country. We must never let ourselves be divided by race or color or religion, because in this country we all belong to minority groups. I was born in Hungary. You are a Mason. These are minorities. And then you belong to other minority groups too. Mm-hmm. You are a farmer. You have blue eyes. You go to the Methodist Church. Your right to belong to these minorities is a precious thing. You have a right to be what you are and say what you think, because here we have personal freedom.
Hello.
We have liberty. And these are not just fancy words. This is a practical and priceless way of living. But we must work at it. We must guard everyone's liberty, or we can lose our own.
Exactly.
If we allow any minority to lose its freedom by persecution or by prejudice, we are threatening our own
freedoms.
And this is not simply an ideal. This is good, hard common sense.
Hello.
You see,
this is common sense. This is common sense. Trump, the administration, you want to know what common sense is? That's common sense. They're always talking about, it's just good common sense. It's just good common sense. Common sense policies. This is common sense.
Here in America is not a question whether we tolerate minorities. America is minorities. And that means you and me.
So let's not be suckers. We must not allow the freedom or dignity of any man to be threatened by any act or word. Let's be selfish about it. Let's forget about we and they.
Think
Let's
about
us.
United States. I think that was I wanted to share that. Thought that was a wonderful video. And remember, this was in the 1940s. This was the 1940s military training. Okay. Trying to how many people now would call that woke? That video right there we watched woke. How many people? How many? Or what kind of people would call it woke? Again, think about how far we've come. You know, and you think that we've gotten away from some of these thoughts, and we were getting better. I think we were getting better, but we have allowed for an influence of certain groups to just completely eradicate and destroy that growth that we've had. It is incredible. This was in 1940s, talking about the freedoms and liberties of the United States, and everybody, you know, having those freedoms and liberties, and not allowing somebody to divide us and, you know, make us think less of each other, all the minority groups. And the fact that, you know, and even breaking down what other minorities, each of one of us are a part of. I hadn't even really thought about it even in that way before. Like, that was an interesting way of breaking it down. And when you allow for any minority, no matter what it is, to be criticized or lose their liberties or freedoms, you are endangering everybody's liberties and freedoms. That's the idea, the point. If we are not all free, if we are not all have our liberties, have our rights, then none of us do. Or we are in jeopardy of losing what freedoms or rights we do have. And that was just huge. And think, like, this is 80 years ago this was talked about. 80 years ago. Man, it's crazy. Crazy to me. Here was another one that this is the Trump trackdown. This is an episode on a series back in the 1950s. This is 1958. The series was to take the trackdown, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Western TV series. And this was an episode of that series. And it is fun to think about into humor. I'll just let it play. So a con man named Trump comes to town and warns the people that the world will be destroyed and that only he can save them by building a wall. I kid you not. And this is a legit video. This has been proven by CBS. I think CBS did a thing on this news. All your, several your like Snopes and stuff that that does background stuff for whatever to check for like truth, whatever. It's legit.
Right down.
This aired on CBS.
I bring you a message. A message few of you will be able to believe. A message of great importance. A message I alone was able to read in the fires of the universe. But be not afraid, my friends. I also bring you the means with which to save yourselves.
Save us from what?
From the end of the world, friend. Which I don't expect you to believe. But the rest of you, those who want to be alive tomorrow morning, I will tell you tonight. Remember that. Bring your friends here. I'll tell you tonight so that you will be able to prepare.
What are you selling, mister? Snake oil?
The world will come to a flaming end at midnight tonight. Without my help and knowledge, every one of you will be dead. Planning to remain in town for long?
Well, I understand I have until midnight.
And you've heard.
Yeah, I heard. Your name is Trump? All right, Sheriff. How long are you going to put up with this?
What do you mean?
How long are you going to let this con man walk around town?
Be careful, son. I can sue you.
How about it, Sheriff? When are you going
He's called out and immediately, hey, hold on. I can sue you. I can sue you now. Don't oppose me. I will sue you. It's oh my gosh. It's funny, but the parallels are so crazy.
put the lid on?
What for?
Well, stealing is stealing, whether you do it with a gun or a mouthful of mealy words.
I don't intend to sit here and be
Mouthful of mean
insulted, Sheriff.
words.
If your people don't want my help, I can go elsewhere.
Now, wait a minute, Mr. Trump. You don't talk for the rest of us.
Since the sheriff wouldn't stop Trump, Hobie had to find somebody who would. Sheriff Chet Farrow was the gun law in Talpa, and Judge Clement was the book law.
You hear about Trump?
Yes, sir. What are you going to do about him?
What do you want me to do?
Stop him
From what?
from taking the town.
Can you prove that that's what he has in mind?
Well, it's obvious.
But can you prove it? In order to arrest him, the sheriff has to have a charge. And Trump hasn't given him a thing to go on.
Well, there's got to be some way to stop him.
Well, if there is, I don't know it. It's a funny thing.
Sir?
When we were kids, we were all afraid of the dark. And we grew up and we weren't afraid anymore, but it's funny how a big lie can make us all kids again.
Toby had checked the time.
Oh, wow. I hadn't seen this whole video. A big lie can make us kids again. Holy shit. That is wild. That is fucking wild. How a big lie can make us act like kids again and be afraid. Fear. Wow, that is something.
The people were ready to believe. Like sheep, they ran toward the slaughterhouse. And waiting for them was the high priest of fraud.
I am the only one.
Trump the con man.
Trust me.
I'm the
I can
only
build
one.
a wall
Trust
around
me.
your homes that nothing will penetrate.
Can build a wall.
What do we do?
nothing will
How do we
penetrate.
save ourselves? You ask, how do you build that wall? You ask, and I'm here to tell you.
You're a liar, Trump. There's not going to be any rain of fire.
Can you deny the meteorites will come? Can you deny the comet?
Well, it's not going to happen the way you say it is. Aren't you going to stay for the fireworks? Huh? Looks like you're going to go before everything's done.
I've done all I can for Talpa.
Figure it's time for me to be moving on. Well, I think you ought to wait.
It's where you and I disagree.
You're under arrest, Trump.
What charge?
Well, you write it any way you like. Grand theft, fraud, I think a jury will find it stealing.
Yeah, that's wild. That was wild. Trump the con man comes into town, says that he was the only one who could do anything to save you. You know, that you're all in danger, and he's the only one that can do anything. He's going to build a wall. He's going to save everybody, protect you from the outside dangers, the threats. Build a even the like comical way of a wall going to stop a meteor. But that threat that doesn't really exist, or the threat that, you know, there's no means to do so, and he would sell it. And then what was he doing? Just hitting the road. Amazing. Yeah, the big thing there for me was the lie, how much a lie can turn us into kids again. That's crazy. And then there was this Twilight Zone, potentially predicting, so people say predicted, Trump. And, it's an interesting episode. It's basically talking about the means in which you would convince people to believe in lies, or believe you have, or should be believed over anybody else, basically. It's very interesting. So let's we'll check it out real quick.
And finds himself perpetually hungry for want of greatness in his diet. And like some goose-stepping predecessors, he searches for something to explain his hunger,
They've
and to
blended
rationalize
this.
why a world passes him by without saluting.
So, yes,
in
it's
his own
not
twisted and distorted lexicon,
exactly
he calls it faith, strength, truth.
the episode.
How do you move a mob, Mr. Fuller? How do you excite them? How do you make them feel as one with you?
I don't know how.
Join them first, Mr. Fuller.
Join them?
Yes. When you speak to them as if you were a member of the mob.
Like to punch him in the face, I'll tell you.
Speak to them in their language, on their level.
The ridiculous bullshit. Drain the swamp.
Make their hate your hate.
This video was created in, I think, 2016 or
If they
17.
are poor, talk to them of poverty.
We are going to
Or
put
actually,
our
maybe
coal
after.
miners back to work.
If they are afraid,
It was uploaded
talk to them of
in
their
19.
fears.
So.
180,000 illegal immigrants are tonight roaming free to threaten peaceful citizens.
And if they are angry, Mr. Vollmer, if they are angry, give them objects for their anger.
Get that son of a bitch off the field right now. Out. He's fired. He's fired.
He has a particular venom for blacks and people of color.
But most of all, the thing that is most of the essence, Mr. Vollmer, is that you make this mob an extension of yourself.
Nobody's done what we have done in 2.5 years. They are the fake, disgusting news.
You know, CNN, fake news, MSNBC, you know, that's really the enemy of the people.
Say to them things like, they call us hate mongers. They say we're prejudiced. They say we're biased. They say we hate minorities. Understand the term, neighbors. Minorities. Should I tell you who are the minorities? Should I tell you? We are the minorities.
You see the flip there,
Patriotism.
where he took what the guy was telling him.
Because love of country is the minority.
Love of country.
Because to live in a free, white America seems to be of a minority opinion. If it's a minority opinion that we have to survive, then we are the minority. And this minority will not stop until it is the majority.
There's a
Wow.
silent majority out there. We're tired of
Wow.
being pushed around, kicked around, and acting and being led by stupid people.
You want your homes infected with the vermin
Rat and rodent infested.
from foreign shores.
I've heard it before. I've heard it 1,000 times before. It was drivel then, and it is drivel now.
America was built by and for the white Christian people of this nation.
Well, just so you understand, I don't know anything about David Duke, okay? I don't know anything about what you're even talking about with white supremacy or
I don't
white
know
supremacists.
anybody.
So I don't know.
I know everything, but I don't know anybody.
There is a conspiracy. There's an insidious, enveloping conspiracy. A conspiracy personified by the yellow man.
He's a Mexican. This judge is giving us unfair rulings.
He's not from Mexico.
In my opinion,
he's from Indiana.
By the black man. And by foreigners who come in and infiltrate into our economic structure.
I was pretty confident about where I was born.
Oh, there'll come a morning. Yes, there will. There will come a morning when these men have taken over your home. They've taken over your daughters.
The rats reproduce at such a ferocious rate.
Build that wall. Build that wall. Build that wall. We have to make America great again.
It's not hate. It's a point of view. It's a philosophy.
Donald J. Trump is calling for a total and complete shutdown of Muslims entering the United States.
And what is this one here? The new model? A
Mm.
1963 Führer right off the assembly line? This one is nothing but a cheap copy. Well, let me tell you
Cheap
about
copy.
about the breed, the species. They're all alike.
Hello.
They're all alike. Problem children. Sick, sad, neurotics who take applause like a needle.
But these left-wing ideologues, they want to demolish our Constitution, weaken our military, eliminate the values that built.
The communists did this.
Which ones?
All of them were communists.
This is the agenda of white nationalists. Whether it is happening in chat rooms or it's happening on national TV, and now it's reached the White House garden.
Remember that when he comes to your town. Remember it when you hear his voice speaking out through others. Remember it when you hear a name called, a minority attacked, any blind, unreasoning assault on a people or any human being.
Hello.
He's alive because through these things, we keep him alive.
Hello. Hello. He's alive through all these things because we keep him alive. Man. Oh, I didn't show the video. I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. I apologize. It was speaking about all the thing, Damn, I'm so sorry. I thought I was showing the video. I forgot that I didn't flip back. The guy that was talking, it was this back and forth with this character guy from where he was talking about and twisting the words of this guy, or using what he was saying to him, as far as like how you would control somebody. He was using them against at that time, and then ultimately in the end he's being arrested where and the guy, there's another guy talking about
Taken over your home, they've taken over your daughters.
The rats reproduce at such a ferocious rate.
Build that wall. Build that wall. Build that wall. We have to make America great again.
It's not hate, it's a point of view, it's a philosophy.
Donald J. Trump is calling for a total and complete shutdown of Muslims entering the United States.
And what is this one here? The new model? A 1963 Führer right off the assembly line? This one is nothing but a cheap copy. Well, let me tell you about this one. About the breed, the species. They're all alike. They're all alike. Problem children. Sick, sad,
problem
right,
children
who take applause like a needle.
But these left-wing ideologues, they want to demolish our Constitution, weaken our military, eliminate the values that built this magnificent country.
That's the boy again speaking. A little.
All of them were communists.
This is the agenda of white nationalists. Whether it is happening in chat rooms or it's happening on national TV, and now it's reached the White House garden.
Remember that when he comes to your town. Remember it when you hear his voice speaking out through others. Remember it when you hear a name called, a minority attacked, any blind, unreasoning assault on a people or any human being. He's alive because through these things, we keep him alive.
It's just crazy, man. It's just crazy. Again, I'm sorry that I did not have that flowing on the stream. I hate that. You were just looking at me while we were listening to it. I know you didn't want to look at me the whole time. But yeah, that was that is just it's just interesting, crazy, kind of fun to go back and look at these things, look at the comparisons, with the book that's talking about the Gilded Age, which and the concerns for the Gilded Age around around the strength and power and wealth and the consolidation there, and when people get desperate and chaos erupts, and then if there's a leadership that doesn't know how to handle it properly, or sides with sides with those elites, ultimately is going to, potentially cause an end to the democracy and the end to, our country and what we are, military training video, which, yes, it's like a propaganda video against fascism, against the Nazi party, and what happened in Germany, making sure that it wasn't going to happen here. And, just the things that were spoke about and talked about in there, how much, like I said, people would call that woke now. Certain people would call that woke. It's crazy. 80 years ago that was being, talked about, and the views that were of the country then, that were trying to change the country. They were trying to push the country in a direction of, understanding, and rights and freedoms and everything for everybody. It was just very, 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 very cool video there. And the concern of how far we've come, or how far left politically, the parties have moved, how far right, they've moved. And then the Trump, the Trump con man from the 1950s video, TV series show. That was just crazy. Being Trump con man, trying to sell you something. He was the only one that can fix it. And ultimately somebody stood up and was like, "You're full of shit. You're just full of shit." And luckily in that instance, it was heated. People realized it. Unfortunately, I think, well, at this point, most people have realized it, that he's a con man. A lot of us already knew, but there's still this overwhelming desire for certain sections of the population to just ignore all that, and believe him anyways, which is unfortunate. Yeah, that was all a lot of fun. That was all a lot of fun, but and I thought I would go over those. I'm recording all this too, so I will also upload this afterwards for a kind of like a video for everybody, those who missed the stream. And but it's been a lot of fun to go back and look at that kind of stuff. I thought that would be interesting for you to see and just have a conversation about. But yeah, if we, I'm not really having too many people asking anything, so thank you very much again for your support, for the 100 subs, and hopefully we can continue to grow. And like I said, our next target will be, I guess, 500. Unless subscribe, share, comment, all that good stuff. Check out the other channels as well if you want to become a part of that. Check out Patreon. I plan, like I said, we are planning on merchandise and stuff, shirts and things that if you join, you get one free, or otherwise you can just purchase one, from shirts to I think coffee mugs we're going to do, maybe keychains or something. I mean, she does plates, like license plates or things, mouse pads. I mean, there's a whole allotment of things that potentially, canvases or something. We're gonna have a lot of stuff like that. So that, and I'll be putting a link up for that if you want to check out those things when they're available. And like I said, I'll have a video on that stuff when it's available. And but again, thank you very much. So much love here and support, and from and thanks for subscribing and giving, showing interest in me. I understand that I'm not probably that crazy interesting of a person, or things, things that my opinions or whatever, but Sometimes it may be the subject that's not that interesting, but thank you for for support that you do give and your subscriptions again, the likes, the comments, whether they're negative or positive, it's cool. I welcome it all, and I just wanted to continue to grow this channel along with the others, for us to have more talk, more discussion about things, and to kind of get real, bring out the nuance, and the different sides of things, if we can try to understand a little bit better, or to try to get more accurate information. So one thing that I do try hard to do is to be as accurate as I possibly can when I'm talking about something. And it's the reason why sometimes when it comes to certain things, I don't immediately talk about it, even though it might be a breaking news kind of thing for a lot of other channels. If I feel like I will need to wait for information so I can be more accurate about it and not just leap at the first things that are said, I will wait. And like I said, the same thing when it comes to viewing stuff on social media, even channels that I check and view all the time that are my go-tos for information or whatever. I oftentimes even verify them. These are most trustworthy people to me, that 85, 90%, 95% of the time, some of them, I trust what they're saying, but there's times where I'm like, or at least their opinion, sometimes I'm like, I don't think I quite take it that way. Or they or whatever lesson they might be learning from it or something. I'm like, I don't know if that's the lesson to be learned from. I think there's another one, or whatever. That's always a good thing, just not to take every single word, verify things, make sure that they're accurate. Anything you come across, in any social media, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, X, whatever it is, YouTube, always verify. I tell people all the time, even on my videos, verify, if you don't believe what I'm saying. Anyways, but thank you very much again. And I think it's been long enough. Almost 2 hours. So thank you very again, and